Hello. I didn't know that the same dish could like taste so different. This is like insane. I've always wanted to make a Chinese takeout at home, but whilst I was going down the chow mein rabbit hole, and that really does sound like a band, I discovered that American chow mein is completely different to UK chow mein, particularly if you're on the East Coast of America. A UK-based chow mein is kind of like more of a medley where most of the ingredients just get tumbled together and the fillings are generally minimal. It has a darker appearance, the soy sauce sort of stains it and makes it kind of glossy. It's definitely not wet, but also not fully dry, but it is super, super addictive. Whereas the American one is built in batches. The noodles are actually crispy, although they end up lighter in color. The chicken or other meats you're using, if you wish, plus the vegetables all get cooked separately. They end up with this like thicker, glossier sauce on top made of corn flour, and then it gets served on top of the crispy noodles as one final dish. Now, of course, wherever you go, even in my hometown, every Chinese seems to do it slightly differently, but that crispy noodle version is actually more of the East Coast American variation. On the West Coast, their version of chow mein is apparently more like our UK style. Seeing all that chow mein and talking about it has made me really hungry. So today, we're gonna put them both to the test to see which one tastes better, starting with the UK one. First step I'm gonna do is, this might be the most boring looking thing ever. This is some chicken breasts in a pan. I'm just adding some water to it because we're gonna poach them. And it does actually sound quite boring, doesn't it? Poached chicken breast. But yeah, that can start to warm up. It'll be lovely and tender. Let's look at everything else. So the UK chow mein, these are all the ingredients. The first thing you might notice are the actual vegetables is quite minimal. We've got some spring onions, some bean sprouts, but we won't put these into the end because we wanna keep them nice and crisp. And right here is some mange too that I've actually sliced into little strips. But other than the chicken and the noodles, which I'll show you in a minute, that's pretty much the body of it. So the chicken's gonna get marinated as well. We've got some sesame oil, some light soy sauce, some white pepper, salt, and this is something called, I think, Shaoxing rice wine. Whoa, that tastes like sherry, it tastes like Christmas. So pretty much all these marinated ingredients are over here with the sauce. So we've got the rice wine, salt, sugar, white pepper. Now this is light soy sauce, and next to it is the same amount of dark soy sauce. And I sort of question that, like, why do I need both? Now this kind of flips it, but apparently like the light soy sauce will make it slightly saltier and give it more of like the flavor, whereas the dark soy sauce is gonna hopefully give us more of that stain and color and maybe sort of like rich caramelization. Some more sesame oil. These are 5 garlic cloves finely minced. And of course, takeaway style, we've got to use the MSG. Conveniently, the time it's taken me to get all those ingredients together, these chicken breasts are now poached. I'll just maybe show you with one, but like you can now get a fork and just like shred it. So it's kind of like pulled pork. It's not a lot of marinade compared to the chicken, which is definitely gonna get a bit more excited now. Noodles. During the weeknight, we make a lot of stir fries actually. We never really know what we're putting in it. We just dump it and create some sort of dish every time. Typically, we'll get these from the refrigerated aisle. These are some egg noodles that are fresh. Or there's various brands equivalent, but in a dry form of nests. However, when I was researching UK chow mein, it was insisted that I get some of these. Yeah, I'd not heard of them before, but apparently these are supposed to be phenomenal, particularly a lot of restaurants use them. I was supposed to actually receive the number 2 version. These are number 1. These are the thicker ones, so I'm just gonna go with that. What's interesting is inside the box, they literally arrived like this, ready to just chuck straight in a pan of water. So they are effectively still nests. These are actually egg-free as well. I don't know, they actually look quite thin. Maybe they'll plump up as they cook. Yeah, apparently these are supposed to be good because they don't clump together, but anyhow, I will be using these also in the US version just for some sort of consistency. And the only other thing I wanted to mention was this chicken. I keep that is absolutely delicious. So let's drain them off into some cold water to stop it cooking, cooling it down. I don't know, I kind of feel like there's no problem with leaving it like this, but maybe it'll go soggy. So I'll drain it again. Yep, one last time. I feel like I was passing the noodles everywhere. I was like, what's going on? And this isn't essential. I think actually particularly this might be one of the selling points of this brand, but you can just add a little bit of oil. So this is some sesame seed oil. Just stirring it around to stop it sticking together. Makes it smell nice as well, but I'm just looking at the color of that right now. That is 100% not saying to me UK style chow mein whatsoever. Just before we get the wok, this is everything we need. So we've got our noodles, we've got our steamed chicken, we've got the spring onions and the mange tout and bean sprouts separate because this is like my grab tray. We need it at different times. That is one of my only pet hates is like soggy bean sprouts. I know there's probably a lot worse things in the world to not like, but so all the ingredients we talked about before, I think that's the MSG. That's the MSG. Woo! I mean, if you like Mrs. B, it is optional. You can omit that if you want, but your Chinese takeaway will probably be putting that in there. So this is some groundnut oil. It's said to get a neutral one. Seems to be one of the cheapest in the shop, so that's why I went for it. Woo! About 30 seconds on its own. And the great thing is, as I'm stirring it around, it's kind of shredding up even more too. I mean, it doesn't help that I ate some of it, but it really is tasty. Now the garlic, Monge 2. All right, now we get crazy. The noodles, spring onions, some more of that sesame oil, MSG, the rice wine, pepper, salt, sugar, the dark soy sauce, and the light soy sauce. Oh my gosh, yes, you can start to see that is that kind of glossy color I was trying to describe earlier. So, literally, just at a shot here, I am grabbing the bean sprouts. In you go, mate. They do not need long at all. Yep, just mix them through just to blend it in like that. Right, that is it. I'm not gonna fill this up completely, but if you were to get like a chow mein from a takeaway, it would sometimes arrive looking a little bit like that in the UK, all right? But I'm at home, and this could taste amazing. Oh my word. Presentation has never really been my forte, but I think you'll agree with this. It is kind of like a medley. It's hard to make it look really nice, but if at least 1% of you are drooling right now, I've done my job, because I'm really hungry. That smells amazing. Oh. Why does it look so glossy and wet when actually in reality it is kind of dry? It's not bone dry, but you kind of expect this moisture, this glossiness, but you've got the crunch of the bean sprouts, the spring onions are kind of floppy, the chicken is loaded with flavour, a lot of pepper coming through there, I love it. But the overarching taste of it, despite it looking quite moist, is actually quite salty from the soy sauce. Bit of sesame too, and not in a bad way whatsoever. It's normally a takeaway, you're just like, oh, I really want to devour that. In fact, I think I should probably just eat out of the wok. That is truly, truly phenomenal. Way, way better than a takeaway. I'd never done that before, and I'm so proud. Even the poaching of the chicken, just those tender shreds where we've crisped it up slightly, but then that marinade and the sauce going in has gone straight in there. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's gonna be very, very hard to beat, and we're gonna try that now. So just to actually demonstrate, like if I did not get that wording across enough, look, that was absolutely phenomenal. So even though I'd never made a homemade chow mein before, I was still in my comfort zone just then, but this American version has got a lot of ingredients. Corn flour and water here for a slurry, which we'll see right at the end. We've got the same noodles, which will go in now. For the sauce, pretty much the same stuff. I could have gone a bit crazier, but I want to try and get some sort of similarity. Sesame oil, that wine, pepper, MSG, sugar, light soy sauce, and the only difference is we're also adding in some oyster sauce. We have got an absolute mountain of vegetables, so mushrooms, spring onions, carrots, bok choy, onions, garlic, and some grated ginger. The ginger smells amazing. For the chicken, we have got chicken thighs. Now these are boneless, cut into strip. I actually prefer chicken thigh to chicken breast, but I don't think I've ever had chicken thigh in a Chinese chow mein in the UK. I think it's gonna be amazing. Light soy sauce, white pepper again, so similar, and salt too. We mentioned about a slurry at the end, but there's also some corn flour here to mix to make this initial marinade for our chicken, and we'll do that first. Yeah, I feel like marinade is definitely the wrong word for this chicken, because that is the wettest thing, the light soy sauce. Pepper and the salt, and of course corn flour, which could probably dry up the ocean. So I think it's just gonna be more of a coating. We'll leave that to rest for about 20 minutes in the fridge. Well, I said that quite confidently. I mean, I assume it goes in the fridge. Like I say, I don't know if all the Chinese takeaways in America would marinate, but maybe they buy pre-bought stuff. So this time with the noodles, we can be like even lazier, particularly as this brand do not stick together. So effectively, we brought them to life by warming them through the pan, and again, we've got that starchy water, but they actually need to dry completely so that they don't freak out when we fry them. Ooh, I forgot we're frying the noodles. That's gonna be good. Crispy noodles. Yeah, so effectively what we've done is hydrate them. I've just drained off the starch again, but they can actually sit in this colander and drain dry, almost steam dry a little bit, because as we saw at the start, this chow mein, the noodles, hopefully they won't change color much. They're gonna be fried, so any moisture on that, the oil is gonna kick off big style. All right, whilst we're waiting for those noodles to dry, this is a whisk worth taking, in every sense. So this is some chicken stock. The pepper, that wine, which you could really taste. The sesame oil, soy sauce, the sugar, the oyster sauce. Oh, look at you. And of course the MSG. Of course the MSG. Like I say, optional. If you're like Mrs. B, I bloomin' love the stuff. That is our sauce. Actually, to be fair, there is one other thing I can do. And one thing I'm starting to like about this recipe, and you'll see even more as we start cooking on the wok, it's very much sort of segmental. You do a lot of these steps in batches. It's not like the craziness of the UK one where it's all in one go, crazy, crazy. Like we're making this slurry now, and I'm sure this will settle and I'll probably have to stir it again, but just like getting everything ready. I've spent half my day today like prepping all the ingredients. It definitely feels like this one is like a little bit more methodical. Okay, so I've got some oil in here again. I thought I'd just add a little bit of the noodles just to check the temperature. It's looking pretty good. I might have made a bit of a boo-boo though. I thought, do you know what? I'll drain them out on the kitchen towel a little bit more, and it seems to want to like stick to it, so don't do that. Whoa. So far so good. It's a fairly dangerous step, but it just looks like a massive blonde wig in a pan, so we're doing all right. You can actually see how crispy that is. Some more kitchen towel and just lifting it in there. Oh my word. And I need to keep some of this oil for the chicken, but obviously right now it just needs to cool down, and I need to clean the wok. I'll probably put it on a smaller plate, but literally that is it for the noodles. We don't put them back in the pan again. Our nest is ready, and ironically it's almost gone back to how it was in the packaging it arrived in. Time for the chicken now. A few other bits do go in with it, but I've reserved some of that oil. This pan is gonna get very angry again. Ooh. Oh wow, I don't know what it is, but that white pepper smell is really coming out of that already, and it's only been about 30 seconds. I'm getting a bit more confident at this. I think, give me about 3 years, I'll be able to do that properly. So apparently in goes the ginger. That was the garlic. The ginger, that was the ginger. And the spring onions. Here we go. That's smelling really good. So apparently these are like the aromatics. About 2 minutes in total with that, and the smell coming through now is the garlic, which is fantastic, but if we leave it in here now, it'll all burn. So again, another phase done. In fact, if I do this right, sorry. Oh, get that all in there. Hopefully the camera's still turned on, but it's the best I can do on my own sometimes. So we've got the chicken there. It smells really good now. The noodles are nice and cool. Our wok is clean too. The only thing I can't really get my head around right now is it just seems like really like slow paced and methodical. I'm sure we could cut some corners, but one last go. So another little splash of oil. This is actually the stuff that got reserved from the noodles, and it's dyed the color a little bit. But we can chuck this in as it warms up. So there's the bok choy, some chopped onion, the carrots and the mushrooms. We lost a mushroom. Right now, compared to the other stuff, it does smell a bit boring, but any minute now, we're gonna change that. The chicken is gonna go back in. Our sauce goes in. Ooh. I can really smell the wine in that now. Now what we wanna do apparently is bring this up to a boil, and as you can see, that is so much wetter than our UK version. It's almost like a broth going on, but we wanna reduce that down. I've just given the slurry a little stir, so this should thicken it up. Oh yeah, I can feel the different... Oh, that's the whisk. I can feel the whisk rolling off the counter. I can feel the thickness that slurry is making it already. It's thickening before our eyes. I'm gonna give this another minute or two, but for you, we'll dump it on those noodles. And I'd like to apologize to any Americans if this looks nothing like the East Coast crispy version, but I've gotta say, compared to the pictures, I am rather happy indeed. What I like is that the sauce is sort of seeping down, but you've got this real crispy nest under it. That is totally bizarre, but pretty much exactly what led me to do this video. Well, I mean, what's the point if we look the same, right? All right, here we go. Oh, those noodles are so crispy. But the sauce has softened it up. Hello. Wow. Oh, that is a completely different experience. It's like a gravy, a really flavor-packed, thick gravy that's just glossed all of the chicken and veg, and something that I was really not expecting. I love the way. Even when I didn't want a bit of noodle then, there was some there, and that crunch really adds texture to it and a little bit of flavor too. And those vegetables, they're so softened and delicate. I didn't know that the same dish could like taste so different. This is like insane. So the UK chow mein, it's much more intense and rich with the flavor. I think it's a lot easier to make. You just chuck it in and stir it around until you're happy with it. The noodles are softer and there's actually less vegetables in it. It's a lot less busy dish. Whereas the US one seemed a lot more intensive to make in different batches. The noodles were crispy, there was loads more vegetables, and the broth has just hugged all of those flavors. This is such a hard decision because I want to pick a winner, but it actually feels like such a different dish in like so many ways. The crunch of the noodles, it just doesn't feel like Chinese to me. However, I've been to some Chinese buffets when I was over in America, and I remember having a dish just like that. Oh. I think purely because I've had a lot of these in my life and I've always wanted to make homemade. Today, for me personally, I'm gonna go for the UK one as the winner. This is fantastic. I'm sure I've probably made 1 or 2 errors, and I've no doubt you'll let me know. But I hope you found this as fascinating as I have. I'd like to do more like this. It doesn't have to be UK, US. It could be like Australia versus India or something like that. UK style Indian takeaway versus authentic Indian food, or even like a regional like deep dish pizza off between America. Any ideas? If you've enjoyed this, do let me know down below. Oh my gosh, my spoon moved. We've had the whisk jumping off the counter. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed the video. See you later. Ciao for now. Bye-bye. Thank you so much to the names on the screen that are patrons that help support the running costs of the channel, help me pay for ingredients and bits and bobs like that. I love that the sauce has soaked into those noodles and softened them up. You still get that crispiness. This is good. The real winner today is probably chow mein. I'm sure there's some crazy version from France now or something, but let me know. See you later.